And it seems as if that's what he's done.
Peter Bowe is reporting on the changes at the White House. Here, drone owners will have to complete a safety awareness course under plans announced by the government today. The unmanned aircraft will also have to be registered, with growing concern about the dangers they potentially pose to aircraft. Earlier this month, 5 flights were diverted from Gatwick Airport because a drone was flown too close to the runway. Our technology correspondent Rory Cellan-Jones reports.
They've quickly become a very popular gadget, mostly used to take great aerial pictures. But as the use of drones has grown, so have concerns about the dangers they could pose. Professional users already have to pass proficiency tests. Now the government wants to bring in wider regulation. The new rules mean any drone weighing more than 250 grams will have to be registered. The owners will have to complete a safety awareness test. And the use of geofencing, which prevents drones from flying near airports or prisons, will be expanded.
Drone misuse is unacceptable, and that we are actually doing something to counter that. People flying safely would have nothing to worry about.
Research funded by the Airline Pilots Union found that a drone weighing 400 grams could damage a helicopter windscreen, although it would take a 2-kilogram drone to harm an airliner travelling at high speeds.
If there's a collision between a drone and a manned aircraft, be that an airliner or a helicopter, the consequences could be absolutely catastrophic. So we have to do something now to make sure that doesn't happen.
There are plenty of commercial uses for drones. Amazon is testing them for parcel delivery. The government says it's keen to promote an exciting technology while ensuring it's used responsibly. Rory Cellan-Jones, BBC News.
Well, a little earlier I spoke to Phil Binks, who's drone specialist at the National Air Traffic Services, and asked him if he welcomes the new regulations on drone users.
We can enforce education, and we can enforce some sort of electronic identity around the drones. So we can now attach the drone to the operator. We know who is operating that drone, because currently we just can't do that. People are flying drones, we don't actually know who is actually operating or in charge of that drone.
The instance at Gatwick, I suppose, highlights the sort of potential concern about this, not least because they're proliferating so quickly. I mean, examples I've seen, for example, quite recently are estate agents flying them over in rural areas to try and get aerial views for publicity and for their websites to get property onto there. I mean, at the moment, there are inbuilt into the drones any kind of restrictions on their use? Are there areas that the drones are already programmed not to go, or is this all completely open territory for it?
No, there is one manufacturer of drones has their own what we call geofencing. So they use GPS networks to prevent them entering certain areas. And they've gone around certain airports, and so a drone can't fly into that bit of airspace. But we need to start looking into more detail. It's not just airports we actually need to protect. There are other areas of critical national infrastructure we need to look at. So we need to explore those with the Department of Transport, with the Civil Aviation Authority, and see how we can improve things.
And in terms of the safety training, is the government thinking along the lines of actually kind of having instructors going out and standing with people who are using drones?
I don't think that's been decided yet. NATS already has their own training programme, so we're introducing a hobbyist training course. It's going to be a free online training course. It's going to be a little bit more than what we have today around the drone code, where people can go on and it will all be recorded to say they have done this, just to provide that little bit of extra knowledge.
I suppose we fear slightly, don't we, what's going to happen with drones. We have this nightmare idea of a drone kind of hitting an aircraft or actually causing a pilot's behaviour in a way they wouldn't otherwise behave. But it's true to say, isn't it, that actually the safety risk from this is relatively low. I mean, I was seeing some figures that suggested that it would actually need to be an airliner flying quite fast and a drone hitting the glass for it to cause any actual damage. It's not going to happen routinely.
Yeah, I'm not sure the specifics about all the testing that has taken place. And UK skies are very, very safe, some of the safest in the world. But NATS, as safety as our number one priority, we want to make sure that remains there. And that's why we're doing lots of other bits and pieces to ensure safety is the number one concern.
It's Phil Binks there.